think it's fair to say that the Hasbro Plasma series is no more. It's been years since we've seen a new figure release, and Hasbro Ghostbusters announcements come and go with no mention of a new Plasma series wave. So today what we're going to do is take a look at why that might be, what went wrong, what could have been done differently, and is there still hope? Let's take a look now. Hi all, Chris here. And yeah, so today what we're doing is we're taking a look at the ending of the Hasbro Plasma series. Hasbro's sort of premium 6-inch range of Ghostbusters figures that started in 2020 and sort of went out with a splutter in 2022. Now you might be saying, wait, of course it's dead. And to you guys, I say, yeah, you're right. It might have been 2 years since the last wave of figures, but Ghostbusters as a brand and Ghostbusters under Hasbro continue on. So why is it that Hasbro decided not to continue with that range, but explore other avenues? I'm a huge Ghostbusters fan, and what that means is every time I see an announcement or a tease of an announcement that Hasbro put out there for this Ghostbusters brand saying that new figures are coming, I always get excited, and I always put an alert on my phone so that I'm ready when it drops. And in the lead up to the new movie Frozen Empire, we were consistently getting teases of new announcements, new figures coming. And I think for me, that was the last time that I thought maybe we'll get another wave of Plasma series figures. Perhaps this series has been on ice since the last movie, waiting to reveal itself again when the new Ghostbusters movie comes out. And they did do a tease. It was announced not through a Hasbro panel, but through their affiliation with Entertainment Earth. And so Entertainment Earth were then able to break the news of new Ghostbusters figures, although they did so after all of the figures appeared on shelves in different stores in the US anyway. So it really wasn't that much of an announcement in the first place. But what Hasbro did reveal for the new movie was a new series of Fright Feature figures instead. So they'd done a set of new Fright Features style figures for Afterlife, with a variety of the original Ghostbusters with a ghost either from one of the previous movies or from Afterlife. And they did the same again with this film. So they released a Gary, a Callie, a Phoebe and a Trevor figure, all with ghosts that related to the new movie or the franchise as a whole. And these figures, as far as I can see, are still only available in the US. They've not been widely released. They're not available on Hasbro Pulse's website overseas, internationally. And these figures are more child-oriented, I'd say. You know, adults can collect them, and if I could have got my hands on them, I would have. But they're not really for the collector. They're for the completionist collector. But for the general Ghostbusters collector, they're more aimed at children, I would say. And in the same vein, around the same time, we also got an announcement of a new release of the Kenner Real Ghostbusters Fright Features figures as well. So we got the set of 4 of those. And, I mean, in the same sort of way, they are more kid-oriented, but the benefit for Hasbro is that a lot of adult collectors grew up on these figures and would have invested in them in the same way that they would have potentially with the Plasma series, because nostalgia would have helped the sales of those figures to appeal to more collectors than the Frozen Empire Fright Features would do. I definitely bought a set of 4. I love them. I think they look great. So yeah, what I'm trying to say is that Hasbro continued to mine this IP, but I really feel like Frozen Empire was the last time we would ever potentially get another wave of the Plasma series. And when they mine this IP, it is very successful in some cases. We've now had 2 Ghostbusters haslabs that have smashed all stretch goals and proved that there's still an interest in this brand, even in this sort of limited edition release strategy. The Proton Pack was so successful that we even got a limited re-release of the Proton Pack in December of 2023. Which I think was probably largely packs that were ordered through the HasLab and maybe didn't sell for whatever reason, so they had maybe a backlog of packs. I don't know. But the point still stands. We got an opportunity to purchase that HasLab 18 months after the first initial release. So whether or not we get more HasLabs, and whether or not we get more releases of real Ghostbusters figures, I don't know. That's certainly possible, but also I could also see that coming to an end as well in 2024. But through all this, there's not even been a mention of a new Plasma series wave. The Selfie series is the only thing that's been keeping the Plasma series alive. Oh, God. Really, yeah. Okay, so, I mean, Selfie series is gone as well, so that doesn't really help the cause. The real problem of it is, they just didn't sell. I have never seen so many. I've never seen so many of a single range of figures on sale in bargain bins and discount shops. Their third-party retailer websites still have stock of them even now and can't get rid. Here's a little taste. So I can't blame Hasbro for dumping it. I think it's naive for somebody to turn around and say, well, it ran its course. I don't think it did, because I don't think they got deep enough into the franchise for us to say it ran its course. But it definitely did as well as it was ever going to do. And I don't think anything was going to increase interest in this Plasma series. But is it down to poor handling of an IP from Hasbro? Or is it down to a dwindling interest in a brand that Sony can never seem to make big money on? And the answer is, yes, it really is both. I don't want to be too pessimistic here. I mean, after all, that's what the comment section's for, so go crazy. But for one, Hasbro never really felt like they committed. It actually suffers from similar issues to the Indiana Jones Adventure series that they tackled after the Plasma series. There is lots of repetition, and there's not enough villains. Where are all the ghosts? Now, I have another video on the Plasma series. Will there be more? Spoiler alert, no. So if you want to have a look at what my thoughts are on what Plasma series figures could have been released, so what ghosts we could have seen, what alternative versions of the Ghostbusters, what other secondary characters we could have seen, take a look at that video. I think there's some really interesting ideas there. But yeah, the range just lacked variety. I mean, when you look at waves 1 and 3, wave 3 were just exactly the same figures as wave 1 with little bits of green on them. And in fact, I'd actually go as far as to say that Frozen Empire was the most toy-friendly Ghostbusters movie. It had loads of interesting ghosts, it had loads of new characters, it had tons of varying costume options. So you really could have made Ghostbusters that at least looked different to the figures you'd released in previous waves. So the very fact that they didn't commit to doing any Plasma series figures for that film must mean that there are no plans for any future figures. And that brings us back to Sony. As I said, a huge Ghostbusters fan. I mean, it's in my top 3 movies of all time. Catch me in a different mood, it'd be my favourite movie, but it's around there. But Ghostbusters movies just aren't bankable sure things. Even Ghostbusters 2 flopped. And when I say flopped, it might have made its money back, but it didn't do big money. And unfortunately, it came out the same time as Batman 1989, and it was always going to suffer up against that. Afterlife made enough money to warrant a sequel, but that didn't do huge money either. And at the moment, Frozen Empire is currently struggling to break even. So my question is to you, is this a toy problem, or is this a franchise problem? Are people just not interested in this brand anymore? Or let's put it more specifically, are people under the age of 35 just not interested in this brand anymore? And now someone can always turn around and say, yeah, my kid's 6 years old and his favourite film's Ghostbusters, and that's great, but there just aren't enough of those kids buying into this brand. I feel like the final nail in the coffin of the Plasma series came last month, and that was kind of the impetus for me recording this video. It was an announcement of a new 3.75-inch O-ring set of 4 Ghostbusters and an Ecto-1. And whilst I really like the set, it is a total course correct for Hasbro. And it's taking that brand into a different scale. The way I view it is, it's Hasbro's last attempt to see if there's money left in this franchise, and it's easier for them to do that at a 3.75-inch scale than a 6-inch scale. Perhaps there's less risk involved. More educated people can probably speak to that than me. That's just how I feel about that announcement. But what I really think it means is there is absolutely no way back for the Plasma series under Hasbro. I think if we ever see figures of a similar scale in the near future, I would look towards McFarlane Toys and the licensing agreement that they've made with Hasbro. Now, they've only gone through Transformers and G.I. Joe figures at the moment, and they're tying them to sort of comic book releases. That might be all that McFarlane want to do, but it also might be that they want to explore and mine other IP that sit under the Hasbro banner. So there's always potential that they might decide they want to go with a wave of Ghostbusters figures in some unique McFarlane way. And I guess my last question is, did this series die after Wave 3, or was it dead on arrival? Like, was there ever the interest in this series of figures? As I say, I know I harp on about how lots of these figures are still in bargain bins even now. Some of those figures are wave 1 figures that I'm still seeing everywhere. So yeah, a bit of both. And I guess I haven't really come to any hard conclusions here. And please drop into the comments and let me know what you think. But I feel like it's a shame, but I also feel like perhaps we put unrealistic expectations on this range of figures. And I don't know whether it was ever announced as a limited range like the Indiana Jones Adventure series was. Perhaps they learnt their lesson and decided that they wanted to make it clear from the start that it was a limited range with the Indiana Jones figures. But I don't think they ever did with these. And I've gone back and looked at announcement articles and old Hasbro Pulse fan streams, and I can't see that it was said in that way. But I guess even if the Plasma series ended, Hasbro's affiliation with the Ghostbusters hasn't. And we do continue to still see output from Hasbro in this Ghostbusters space. So it is slightly different. I guess I'm just disappointed. It's another Hasbro set that sits on my shelf that feels half finished. I mean, almost to the point where I'm considering packing up my Indiana Jones figures because it's just a half finished set sitting on my shelf and I don't like it. And I feel that way a little bit with the Ghostbusters as well, which is really disappointing because that is the toy range that I get the most kicks out of, especially the Kenner range. See, I don't know where I'm going with this. I think it's just cathartic to talk about how disappointed I am that this is over, but also kicking myself that I ever thought it was going to get further than this in the first place. But yeah, drop into the comments and let me know what you think. Are you a fan of this range of figures? Are you disappointed that they're over? Just drop down and let me know. Pop a like on the video if you've enjoyed this, and please consider subscribing to my channel for more action figure reviews and news. Our community would love to have you here, so please come and join us on this journey. Almost at my first 1,000 subscribers, and that is the push that I'm trying to make at the moment. But if you are interested in Hasbro Ghostbusters figures, why not check out this video next? Thanks ever so much for joining me today. I hope you all take care. Bye-bye now.